for you guys? This is Rob from the Gay Guy Plays, and today on the Daily Grind, we're going to be taking a look at how Octavia performs for Forma later. So as for the build, aside from the standard survivability mods, you'll notice that we focus on duration, power, strength, and range. And for those of you guys who've been around the channel long enough, you will notice that I'm missing out on one of my staples, which would be fleeting expertise. And that's primarily because Octavia has an amazing passive that grants 1 energy per second for 30 seconds every single time she casts an ability. Now, technically, it's not every single time she casts an ability, it just simply refreshes itself if you cast an ability within that time frame, which makes it a lot easier to get away with using a little bit less efficiency, especially if you have something like Arcane Energize or are using Xeneric. Alrighty, and now for a little bit of gameplay. So, I figured that I could not do this the same way that we do a snapshot, mainly because of the fact that there's usually a lot to talk about when it comes to frames. So, for those of you guys curious, I'm actually super fond of the way that Octavia plays. She's kind of, I guess you would say, territorial in the same way that Nidus is. She basically sets up a station and she can lock down multiple points, especially if you have a little bit of range. Now, you guys will notice that one of the things that I actually did in my build is I actually ended up using Power Drift instead of Cunning Drift. Now, really, that was only because I could get an even 200 power strength, and even numbers are nice sometimes. I know that's a little bit ridiculous, but you know, it's your little idiosyncrasies. Ooh, always trying to get... Now, one of the things that I do have to say that I'm not... I guess I wouldn't say that I was not necessarily the fondest of, is mainly because of the fact that these buffs I feel are kind of integral, especially the stealth buff, or at least maybe that's just me because of the fact that I'm like a Loki player and I'm like, I need my stealth. These stealth buffs really kind of distract me from actual gameplay, which I'll be honest, works kind of well when it comes to Octavia, mainly because of the fact that you can literally just set down the station and then go in and amp it up, and then just focus on staying invisible, which I'm like, all right, let's put that down and let that do the work, and then I can just focus on getting in the beats. See, I can do it, you guys. I know that a lot of you guys were watching me on stream and stuff, and they're like, Rob can't keep a rhythm, and you're right. For the most part, I can't keep a rhythm, but I'm gonna try really hard. And her combination of abilities kind of lets you do it. The only thing that I do have to say that drives me absolutely crazy, and you guys kind of know the feelings on this, and it's mainly the fact that her rollerball charms enemies into following you and whatnot. And rule number 1 of being invisible is don't have something fucking following you, because it ends up ruining your invisibility and getting you shot. I cannot count the amount of times that I've taken bombard rockets because of the fact that the stupid resonator was on and attracting enemies to me. I'm like, no, don't do it. It hurts. It hurts. I'll be honest though. Right now, there's an immense amount of Octavias out in the field, and as much as I love it, it's hard for me to kind of like stay around there because of the fact that legitimately I get my beats mixed up with theirs. I can't see my energy effects, and really, primarily I've been focusing on just looking at the energy effects so that I'm not really forced into keeping the music in the background. Not that the music isn't a fun part of it, but a part of me's also kind of started min-maxing that too, which is kind of terrible. Literally everybody's put out all of this amazing music and I'm like, oh my god, it's so cool, I love it so much. And then I'm like, oh, but I can't keep a fucking beat to this at all. I was like, it's not gonna happen, no. So what ends up happening is I have to formulate my own kind of like beats and stuff that I can actually make sure to hit, especially with some of the sound packs. Some of the sound packs sound amazing when they're kind of like strumming a lot, you know, when they've got like a lot of notes in succession very quickly, and I'm like, ooh, that sounds so good. Too bad I will never be able to hit that set, and also I will have to hit that set like 15 times in order to get invisibility, which does not really help. Does not really help when you're in dire need to get away from enemies. So that's why I'm kind of glad for the way her abilities are set up. You can kind of just passively leave them there, set up station, and shoot. Like, legitimately this whole time, my abilities have been doing stuff for me, but I've just kind of like randomly spot shot. But the rest of it is just me keeping up the stealth buff. And I'm sure that's not like the appropriate way to play her, and there's better ways to make her efficient and whatnot. But legitimately, I mean, this is doing work. It isn't the highest level mission, if I'm gonna be honest. But the fact is it's still you know, kind of doing the job. Now, as long as you kind of stay on top of your buffs, you can keep them up. You can keep them up indefinitely. Like, you can be invisible for a good long time, mainly because of the fact that you can refresh your what is it called? The metronome buff. You can refresh the metronome buff over and over, and within that metronome buff, you'll be able to refresh your stealth again and again and again, which is nice because I like to play invisibility frames, and you can take advantage of things like the stealth multipliers that come along with them. Oh my god, if you can catch up with your enemies, which, hold on, maybe if I had the Vivace buff, yes, I can say that right now, you guys. I got so much heat for saying Vivace wrong, and I'm sorry. The Vivis buff. Well, listen, give me a break. I don't talk about musical stuff on a daily basis. I'm more of a let's look nice and let's look pretty and let's do that. We can talk makeup lines, and I can name all of those fairly easily. But yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with Octavia. Ooh, follow the print. Sorry, I got a little carried away with that. As you guys know, whenever any of these big updates come out, it's always like big time. There's always so many Forma that I have to put in, which can actually tear into my soul sometimes. Usually I'm okay. Usually it's not that big a deal, but often it happens where you're doing it for hours on end, especially with like a new frame, or even worse, like Sentinels. Oh my god, those ones kill me so bad. But yeah. No, with Octavia, I've had a shit ton of fun with her. Let's find another relic. Let's just slap that in, because that's what that is. But yeah, I've had a lot of fun with her. She's really, really good at locking things down. I feel a little weary because of the fact that her rollerball, I won't say that it has the greatest AI, but as I said, I spend a lot of the time in Viz. So even if it is following me around, I don't necessarily want it to. I like the charm from it, because the charm is quite powerful, but the issue is it gives me away and it hurts my soul. Here, let's go ahead and toss it on there. So as you can see, it kind of just takes off and starts doing its thing, and I'm like, no, but I want you to protect an area. But at the same time, it's very, very good at charming enemies to it. So I appreciate it for that. However, I'm like, listen, can you like stay, you know, like maybe 15 meters away from me, so that that I can enjoy being invisible without you ruining everything. But yeah, I think that's my only gripe, is, you know, being super distracted by this, and also, you know, kind of like having the rollerball conflict with your invisibility. Aside from that, I have to admit, I'm trying to lock down this area right here. As you can see, that's one of the issues, is I meant to try to lock down this area, but my rollerball had other had other ideas. It decided to run off, but I'm like, I want you to stay here and attract all the enemies here so that they're not hitting the pod, which is doing a halfway decent job of, and allows me to focus on going in Viz. Another thing that I've noticed that really helps with going in Viz, and I mean, you guys should definitely just try this out, see if it works for you, but instead of just crouching in the same spot, actually slide around. Because for some reason, the visual of sliding into, it's like you're sliding into the notes. I feel it actually helps me a little bit. I don't know if it'll help anybody else, but I sure as hell hope that it does, because look at that. I feel like it's much easier to keep the beat when you're doing that, as opposed to like when you're just sitting in one little spot. I guess that works too. I won't lie. I won't lie. It works as well. Now, one thing that I'm going to note, and this is for fashion framing advice, because this is one of the things, these are like the things that I pay attention to. If you notice, the energy effect actually has a secondary color, and it happens on pretty much every single color you choose. So this is red with like a little touch of blue, and it's kind of like a grayish blue. That's actually something that I like to keep in mind when it comes to picking energy colors that go along with your Warframe. So I've always kind of like kept that in mind. I'm like, oh look, there's a cool little blue tone that comes with it. I'm like, all right, we're gonna incorporate that somewhere into the actual frame itself, so it feels like it's kind of, what's the word? It all ties in together. Let's see if I can... No, Amp is still doing its thing. Amp is still doing its thing. That's also one cool thing that I really liked about this, was due to the fact that you could actually see... You could actually see where the radius of everything is. With things like, you know, like Embers World on Fire, it's a little bit more, what's the word I want to say? It's a little bit more abstract. You know, you can't quite tell exactly where it is. Like, listen, get your beats out of my beats. This is my area for beats, okay? Get your little roller ball, have it haul it away. Thank you. Be respectful to my beats area. Now, I'm gonna try it. Here's the thing. Because there's so much good music out there for it, I really feel bad that I'm not really able to, ooh, look at that. Okay, that's rollerball time. And that's amp time. Let's just do it all. Let's just toss in a little bit of everything there. And then let's get our asses out of here and be invis real quick. See, it's so much easier for me to slide into them. There you go. It makes me feel better that way. It's kind of like it's like the dance party portion of it. But yeah, no, I'm gonna try to work harder on being better at kind of keeping time with the music, but honestly, at the same time, I almost want to turn off the music because I have to, you know, when I record things, I have to record with background music, or I overlay music into it. And it's a little bit distracting to have two different types of music. I wonder if it's driving anybody in the comments crazy right now. I did set my music volume in the background to only be like, to only be 25%. Let's do that. Let's do it. It's preventative measures. One other thing that I really liked with this, which I found really interesting, and I'm not going to keep them around forever, but I really liked the proboscis ability on the Helmets Charger, because a lot of the times what it'll do is it'll actually drag enemies into range of the what is it called? The mallet. I have like no idea what a lot of these abilities are called. I'm just like, it's the thing. It's the thing that makes the pounding thing, you know, that thing. Which also explains why I can't say a lot of things. I just kind of pretend. I pretend I know. But yeah, so I don't know. Overall, I'm really enjoying Octavia. I'm having a lot of fun with her. I like the fact that she can lock down areas. I like the fact that even like when you get fully set up, you can focus on just staying invisible, as cheap as that sounds. But the damage buff on it is actually pretty damn amazing as well. Like, there's a lot of really awesome buffs that you'll notice, like, look at that. And I believe the buffs stack, too. The buffs stack pretty damn well. You'll go ahead and get the 300% buff from one guy, and then you'll get your own 300% buff, and it's kind of insane. So, I don't know how she's really gonna, fit into a lot of like team comps for like some of the higher end missions, but I think you can run sorties with her pretty easily and not be worried that you're not bringing a frame that is helpful for everybody, because I think that becomes a concern, and I think that she's, you know, pretty group friendly. She takes the heat off of your teammates using her beats. She lays in the beats with her own beats, which I think is really interesting. And because of the fact that if your teammates so choose, or if your teammates are really good at keeping beat, they can also be invisible, right? I mean, as long as you're not sliding around ridiculously and not allowing them to get within range of your buffs as well. Aside from that, I think she's pretty fucking fantastic. I'm still, and to this day, I'm still gonna be distracted as all hell. Oh god, here's another part of me min-maxing the beat. Literally, if you have too many in your melody section, what ends up happening is that each little rhythm part that you hit is worth less. So what happens is you don't get as large of a chunk. I believe like one of my rhythms actually gives you like 56% towards your Nocturne buff in one shot. And I'm like, oh my god, like this one I believe gives me a little bit less. I believe I have to hit it a little bit more often. It's about 20% per? A little bit over 20% per. And what ends up happening is you have to stack it up repeatedly in order to get the buff. Right now I'm at 72%. There you go. So we hit it again. And tell me what you guys think about this, because this is one of the things that bugs me about it, is it never tells you when you activate the buff. you just get like a little misty splash on the screen, and that's pretty much it. I would absolutely love it. Let's see, anything good? Yeah, let's take that. I would actually absolutely love it if what would happen on the screen is every time you actually landed one of the buffs and the buffs kind of became active, not just like landed a hit on it where you get the little flashy splashy thing at your feet, but more along the lines of like when you actually get the buff, for a small icon to kind of like appear at the center of your screen. Nothing big, nothing too crazy, but just maybe like a beat marker and then like the little icon of the beat, and it would tell you, hey, you got your invisibility. You don't have to do this for another like 20 seconds, so calm down. You don't have to be sliding all over the place like a crazy person. But yeah, that's kind of one of the quality of life things that I'm gonna see if I can't pass that on to them, and hopefully we can get it so that we can get more of a visual indicator instead of having to look up at the corner for your buff screen, because as you can tell, those buffs are small, and sometimes, here's the thing, sometimes you have multiple buffs running, so it's hard to tell. Even now you can tell they actually buffs go onto second lines because of all of the Octavias being played. But regardless, that's my rant. Let me know how you guys feel about Octavia, and that's pretty much all. So as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch yo body. And don't worry, we will be back very, very soon with Octavia's Dress to Kill. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!